Hi, I'm Lynn Krizan. Around 2000, I got very interested in astronomy. I don't consider myself an amateur astronomer. I consider myself an observer. I realized that somehow I had to get this involved in the art, and so initially I started just going out through the telescope painting the moon. And I didn't want to just download NASA data off the internet. So I started to think about doing the photography myself and thought, well, this should take about a year to learn this, and I'm still learning it to this day. And it's also been kind of expensive too, much more as you buy equipment and find out, well, it works, but not to the level you need it to work to.
My name is Helen Curzon. I'm married to Lynn Krizan.
When did he become such a nut about astronomy?
As a present for Father's Day, I bought him a telescope. It was about a $150 telescope, right? But then that telescope lasted for about 3 weeks, and he wasn't satisfied with it, so he traded it in for like an $1,100 telescope, and he wasn't satisfied with that telescope, and he traded that one in about 3 weeks for like a $2,200 telescope, something like that, and the rest is history. It's gone up from there.
And I understand he wants to rent Palomar now?
Yeah, something like that.
Hi, Lynn. Hi. These are a couple of my students.
Hello.
Lucky people.
Hello, I'm McCauley Norman. I'm a student of Lynn Krizan's at Kutztown University, and definitely got a huge impact as a painter from him. It helped me through a lot of things, considering my imagery, formal decisions in my paintings. It's really nice to see all his work together like this. It's a very inspiring show.
So my name's Delilah Miskey, and I am a student of Lynn Krizan's. He has taught me a lot about rendering and just painting in general. He's a great teacher and just a fun guy to work with. As I got older, I would just say we became more of painter friends.
And so it's been a kind of ongoing process to how to integrate these images into the painting.
He goes up to a telescope around Kutztown and he takes photos of these nebulas and things from outer space. So what he does is he takes the images that he photographs and then we'll collage them on top of these paintings. And the images that we see tightly rendered here are in relation to what the nebulas are and the history behind them and what they are scientifically. So they relate to one another.
As you're looking at the paintings, you can see that there's glued on paper. That's the photographic part. And then the other images are actually painted in a very traditional late Renaissance Dutch fashion with underpainting and glazing and so forth. The photographic image in the lemon piece is the Dumbbell Nebula, and it's actually an exploded star. It's what we call a planetary nebula. So the idea of the energy that was caused in order to create that form, and as I looked at it, I noticed it had this lemon shape. So I thought it'd be interesting to paint a lemon, but then it occurred to me to somehow to talk a little bit about this force, and so I decided to drill a hole in the lemon and stick a firecracker in it. And then later on, well, the element that's going to ignite this and cause this is the match. I'm not interested in traditional pictorial space. The space is very contemporary, very modern, and I would say pretty derivative of Rauschenberg and the Spanish painter Moreau. The painted images for me are kind of metaphors that allude to elements of energy, gravity, and certain kind of forces, but also strongly the element of what is known, what isn't known, and chance. There's also elements, bones, that indicate death, and there's this cycle that we constantly see in astronomy. Stars being born, stars living, stars dying, and a lot of the nebula has been caused by drastic explosions, but within those nebulas also there's new stars being born, so it's really kind of a constant cycle. And then I think about that happening on Earth in our own life. And so you'll see elements of the egg and the nest. The nest is often what I think of as a womb, a birthplace. There's also broken elements that indicate chance, change, destruction. The elements hanging that indicate gravity. A couple of paintings integrate magnets, which is the other force that we see happening in the cosmos.
I love the way that you are combining the most recent digital technology with a very almost ancient rendering technique of oil painting. You have the history of image making in one painting.
If we think back to the great artists from past periods and past centuries, and if they were living today, I think they certainly would probably be thinking about digital also.
Do you have a favorite constellation?
Not really, I don't. People confuse astronomy with astrology, and the two have very little to do with each other. Astrology is an ancient religion, equally an interest in the cosmos, but a very different conclusion that there are gods and goddesses that rule Earth.
Well, of course, that begs the question, what's your sign?
Leo. Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think the Creationist Museum is going to be buying any of your pieces anytime soon. Are you a science believer?
Well, I think science is very important. It's analytical thinking and tries to be logical, but I think it's also strongly influenced by our bias. And one thing about astronomy, if you go read a text that's probably 20 years old, you'll find a lot of that has been disproven.
Do you have any spiritual beliefs?
Well, I'm a bit of an agnostic, and I have no strong one way or another. I think as I've been involved in astronomy, it has probably made me a little more religious than less religious in terms of the unknown and what's really out there.
He's a very open-minded person. He talks to you about ideas, which is a great way to learn.
I think what I want out of the work from the viewer is intrigue. They might interpret that in their own way, but hopefully they're intrigued enough by it that they will look at it and start to examine it, even though they may come away with their own conclusions.